Hi, welcome to Watch It Played. My name is Rodney Smith. I should probably start this video by saying that as a rule, I do not create Kickstarter previews, but once a year I seem to break that rule. Last year it was Bottom of the Ninth, and this year it's Codex from Sirlin Games. We've featured some of their games in the past. We've done instructional videos for Puzzle Strike, Yomi, and Flash Duel. And this is one that they currently have on Kickstarter, and I'll put links to that in the description of this video if you're curious. I would like to mention, though, I am not being paid for this video, and I am personally backing the game myself. So if this game does interest you and you decide to back it, you're risking the same thing that I am. Now, that said, hopefully this video can help if you're interested in the game. Do keep in mind, everything you see here is a prototype, although the card design and art is final. Codex is a customizable card game that comes with everything you need to play provided in the core set that includes close to 200 cards. Out of the box, you can play 1 versus 1, 2 versus 2, or 3 to 5 players in free-for-all matches. But there's also a separate starter set specifically for 1 versus 1 that provides a good way for me to explain the basics of the game, so let's start there. In Codex, players will sit opposite one another, each with a patrol zone and player board, and dial to track their base's 20 health, which I don't have in this prototype, so I'm using dice. Each player will begin with a starting deck of 10 cards that you can identify by the dots in the upper right-hand corner. You'll shuffle your starting deck and then place it face down nearby. The starter set also comes with a bashing and finesse deck. Each player chooses one, taking its hero and putting it here, and the rest of the cards don't need to be shuffled, they can just be set face down nearby as well. Now you'll pick a first player to place one of these 4 worker cards in their worker area, and the other takes the 5 times worker card. There are also tokens as well, which will be used during the game. Finally, each player should draw an opening hand of 5 cards from their 10 card starting deck. Players will now take turns back and forth until one player has reduced their opponent's base to 0 health. And on your turn, you'll complete 5 steps. The first one is easy. You simply refresh any exhausted cards you have. And of course, at the beginning of the game, you wouldn't have any cards in play. But as an example, here's an exhausted card that you would refresh by simply turning it upright again. The next step is upkeep, and you collect 1 gold from the supply for each worker you have. I have 4 workers as shown here, so I will get 4 gold. Next is the main step, and this is where you'll do most of the important work of your turn. For example, once per main step, you can hire a single worker by spending 1 gold and then choosing 1 card in your hand to place face down here for the rest of the game. This means you'll lose the ability to play that card from your hand for its effects, but now each turn you'll collect 5 gold instead of 4. And that's important too because most of the things you'll want to do cost gold. Speaking of which, at the start of the game, you don't have much gold, so I'll cheat and give myself loads of it so I can show you how things work. For example, during the main step, you can spend gold to bring out as many units as you want to from your hand by paying the cost here, shown in the upper left-hand corner. So this Fruit Ninja is going to cost 3 gold, and you'll see how we use units a little bit later. You also have your hero, which you can think of as resting when it's located here. During the main step, you can spend its cost, 2 gold in this case, to make it active, putting it into play. And this is important because without an active hero, you can't cast spells during your turn, like this one, which, if I pay the cost and play it from my hand, will allow me to put a +1/+1 rune on a friendly hero or unit. This rune token will turn the Fruit Ninja's attack and health from 2/2 to 3/3. Used spells will then be placed in my face-down discard pile that I'll begin over here. You can also attack during the main step, but heroes and units that I just brought out that turn can't attack. Only ones that I started my turn with can. But I'm going to cheat and pretend that these guys can attack right now. But that's okay, because my opponent cheated too, and they already have some units in play. You'll see a little later, at the end of your turn, you can place any ready units you have in play onto your patrol zone. A player then has to destroy any units that are there before they can start attacking a player's base. I want to attack this base, so I'm going to have to first defeat this unit. To attack, you use one of your ready units like this Fruit Ninja that will target the older brother, and now they'll do damage to each other simultaneously based on their strength, which is the value shown in this black box. So the Fruit Ninja has a strength of 2, +1 from the rune, plus another 1 from this special ability called Frenzy, for a total of 4 damage. The older brother will hit back with a total strength of 2, which we'll assign here. If the damage on a unit is ever equal to or greater than its health value, shown here in red, that unit is destroyed. This worked out okay for me because although my unit is hurt, it stays alive because of the +1 health it's getting from this rune. That said, the older brother was thoroughly defeated. But you'll notice each space of the patrol zone will give a special effect to the unit that was there. For example, when a unit on this space is defeated, the player who controlled it gains a coin from the supply. The unit that was destroyed will then go face down into its controlling player's discard pile. And my unit that attacked is turned sideways as a reminder that it cannot attack again during this main phase. But at least the patrol area is clear, and now I can have my hero attack anything that shows a health value. This could be their base, but it can also be other units that they didn't have on the patrol board, special buildings that they have, and so on. Your heroes are also special because during the main step, they can be leveled up. For each gold I spend, I can give my hero a level. When this hero reaches level 5, it unlocks this new ability, and its attack and health increases. Once this one gets to level 8, it unlocks an even better ability and still retains its old one, but now has stronger attack strength and health. Once you've taken all the actions you wish, any ready units you have, again, those are the ones that are not exhausted from attacking or doing other actions, can be assigned to your patrol zone to protect your base and other things that you control. In this way, the game is completely asynchronous. In other words, when you're taking your turn, the other player cannot interrupt you. Any defenses you want to establish, you have to set them up on your turn. When your main step is finished, you then always discard all remaining cards and then draw that number of cards plus 2 more. So I'm getting rid of 1. That means I'll draw 1 plus 2 more for a total of 3. However, you can never draw more than 5 cards in this way. So if I had discarded 3 cards, then I would draw 3 plus 2 more. But if I'd gotten rid of 4 cards, I'd draw 4 and only 1 more because you can't draw more than 5. That means the more cards that I play from my hand during a round, the fewer that I'll have in my hand during the next round. So that introduces the decision about whether or not I value the effect of a card I'm about to play more than limiting my options for the next round. The final step is tech. Here, you freely go through this codex of set-aside cards and pick any 2 that you want to place face down into your discard pile. In this way, you can look at what your opponent is doing and then decide how best you'd like to deal with it from amongst all the options available in your codex. And because this tech is going face down into your discard pile, your opponent has no way of knowing what new tricks you've just added to your deck. Anytime during the game you would need to draw from your personal deck and then run out of cards to draw, you shuffle your discard pile and create a new deck from it. In this way, that new tech that you previously added will eventually come into your hand where you'll be able to use them. There are many other aspects to the game which I won't be covering, but you can learn about on the Kickstarter page. But I do want to talk about building your own codex, as this is where many of the gameplay decisions are going to be found. In the starter game, each player had 1 hero and a pre-built codex deck. But in the core and deluxe versions of the game, each player chooses any combination of 3 heroes to use, like these 3 here, and based on what you choose, you'll have a unique starting deck of 10 cards. Those are found in these 5 slots here, each containing 2 different cards. But also, each hero you choose comes with 12 unique pairs of cards that you then place in the included codex binders. 1 binder for each player. Again, keep in mind, this particular one is a prototype. Each hero provides its own unique flavor of abilities that you can bring into play. But during any single game, although your entire codex is open to you, you'll eventually have to make choices limiting which ones you can actually use. Again, forcing you to try to make the best choices based on what your opponent is doing, but allowing you to make different choices the next time you play, even though you're still using the same codex. If you found any of this interesting and you'd like to know more, you can find a lot more information on the Kickstarter page and on the Sirlin Games website, both of which I'll link to in the description of this video. And if you have any questions about anything you saw here, don't hesitate to put them in the comments below and I'll gladly answer them as soon as I get a chance. But until the next episode, thanks for watching.